Alright, we are live and I think we are good to go. Just make sure I can see all the chat. Okay. Now we're just going to post on Instagram real quick. Boop-a-doop-a-doop. Alright. So this is a project I started yesterday morning. Did this so far. What's up, Eraser Dread? How you doing, bro? This is what I started yesterday morning. Gonna keep working on it a bit. Made it using Robospunk'S Claygun tool. Yeah, this was a pretty fun one. I'm gonna be using this for an animation I'm working on. Let's get these annotations out of the way. There we go. That's the color choice so far, or lack thereof. I kind of used what I did for this. Thank you, man. What I did for this, I just literally like modeled the most basic like cylinder shape that I could. And I basically just started drawing right on top of it with the clay gun. Like I could even ramp down the smoothness all the way to show you how ugly it looks without it. Like there you go. That's basically all my strokes and stuff, and then I smooth it out. 60, fine. Kind of did that so I could get the windows in without having to like figure out a Boolean thing or whatever. Been figuring out my own workarounds with the software so far. So yeah, this stream's gonna be a little bit more in depth than the last ones. I'm gonna kind of, as I'm working, I'm gonna kind of show how I'm like achieving a certain detail level and my little workarounds for what was kind of hard to get through at first. I don't have a very outlined thing right now, like I said on my story, I believe. I'm going to be making a little deep dive on this, not like a full tutorial, but just kind of my take on how I use it. So yeah, we're going to get into some of that today. Grab my stylus. Yeah, I got this little animation that I'm planning on this being for. It's Goob Melon. Can't even show it off. Oh, well, I guess I can't show it. Well, maybe I can. Get creative with it real quick. Let me see. Could I just drop in a video? I bet I could. Just drop in a video into Blender. Just show you there. But this is for an animation that I'm working on. Actually, what am I doing? Goob Mellow. The airplane's gonna be for this little animation. I got this little like sequence of different like emotes, kind of like action emotes. And it's like this guy, he salutes, he starts meditating, he's flying like Superman, and then running through the grass. Kind of like a loop. And for the salute section, I'm just gonna have like the planes fly overhead, like from behind him, and then when he's like flying through the sky, I'm gonna have them like passing by him again. So I'll show you guys the. That's kind of the loop right now. And this was like this was made assisted with the draw tool, like the grass and the flower. Um I'm trying to remember if I made this character using the draw tool. Honestly, it's kind of a blur. It's possible I sculpted it, but the way I extruded the legs, I'm really not sure. That's like what's got me thinking maybe I used the draw tool for them. But yeah, it's gonna be for that animation. Thank you, sir. What's up, AJB? Is it AJ, bro? We were talking over on Instagram earlier, and I didn't know what to refer to you as. Alright, let's go back to the plane. Like I said, I almost got it done, but I was just like right at the cusp. Didn't quite get it finished. So, okay, let's get into the tool. Let's stop talking. Alright. Stroke. Let's see. So, one thing that I've seen with the tool that I think a lot of people have been struggling with is like achieving a certain amount of detail, because there's like a scale on it. Here, I'll just open up the little menu here. You'll see there's like, you know, voxel size and smoothness and, well, let's say radius. And by the way, we're in the Claygun section right now, so there's all these different modes. I kind of stick to the Claygun. Yeah, I've been sticking to the Claygun for the most part. So a lot of people, you know, play with voxel size and radius and curve resolution to kind of get like their level of detail they want out of this. And the curve resolution is like, you know, for a stroke, how many dots it's made up of. So like, I guess we can get creative with the annotations here. So it's essentially just like, there's your curve, and it's basically how many dots make up your curve and like how close they are together or whatever. And then those dots get turned into mesh. So it's basically like the curve resolution, the lower it goes, the closer these dots go together. So when it remeshes, it's more or less smooth, like, you know, dependent on the iterations. So obviously, like, you use that to kind of get a smoother stroke. But that doesn't really account for the geometry, making that smoother. So with voxel size, that makes it smoother, but at the end of the day, voxel size is only dependent on the scale of your scene. So if your scene is pretty small, the voxel size, like, it can only get so small. So the larger your scene is, the essentially the smaller a voxel can be. So I have a tendency to scale my scenes way up. You can see even here. This is a good example. Like, you can see how small the grid looks compared to maybe what like the default Blender layout is. And if you go into, this is the kind of annoying part about having such a large scale scene, but when you do that, you can kind of zoom out and you lose, you know, your object, because it's like perspective. So it's like at a certain point, the viewpoint stops in the viewport. So I just keep to orthographic so I don't lose that object. But I scale it way up, so essentially I could achieve as much detail as I want without it looking pixelated. It does make for a bit larger Blender files, but the thing is about that is that it's already super small. Like, I feel like since it's working on geometry nodes, it's very what would you call it, optimized already. So like this scene right here, it's like pretty high geometry, I'd imagine, just getting it as like soft and clay looking as it is. So like, let's look at the, yeah, we're at 35 megabytes right now, which is pretty dang small. Like if I was just working on normal geometry, like in order to achieve this look, like as smooth as it is anyways, I feel like I'd be working with a lot of at least like subdivision modifiers, and it would potentially be a bigger project. So yeah, that's kind of, honestly, I'd say like the biggest like tip, trick, whatever with this would be scaling your scene up large enough to where when you scale down your voxel size, and actually, why am I just telling you? Let me show you. Draw. Okay. So you can see how like smooth it already kind of looks. Like, and obviously it's pretty detailed mesh. Like, there's no like hard edges to each individual, like, yeah. And you can see as I'd like put the voxel size up or whatever, it like becomes, you know, more and less. But I've noticed in a small scene, if I'm in like a very, like, let's say this airplane or whatever is like a quarter of the size. It's about like, let me get this out of the way, it's distracting me. Sorry guys, I'm kind of working on multiple parts of my head right now. But let's say like the airplane was about like yay big, like just this part, just that section or whatever. It would take ramping this voxel size down way more in order to get that same level of detail. And the thing is, you can only ramp a value down so much. So yeah, so the larger you're seeing, the more you could ramp down your voxel size. So that's like one of the biggest tricks for getting the amount of detail you want. Another thing I do in order to get like textures separated or pieces separated, if I just want to like overall, let me show you here how I got it separated. Okay, so you can see like when I click on the windows, like all the windows are highlighted. When I click on the plane wings, just the wings are highlighted, all that stuff. But with the Claygun tool, like, you know, a lot of people utilize the painting feature, which is awesome, and I honestly need to do that more. Like, I've been really liking the pieces that do that. But I kind of have like this OCD thing where I like to have different textures for like, for anything that has color variation. Like, I like to have like different textures for each. So what I do for those individual pieces is like, you know, I'll draw something here. Let's see, let's go to the original stroke here. Draw. So I'll just like simply draw something out. And then a horrible star. And because I want to keep that horrible star, I just highlight it in edit mode. I just go over to edit mode, or I can press tab, and I just highlight the entire thing that I drew, and I press P, selection, separate selection, so the hotkey is P. And then you have your separated stroke now, which is now labeled the last stroke, which would be stroke 13. And then you have stroke 1, which you were initially on, and you can keep drawing. So every time you're done, like, drawing one mesh and you want to create a separate part, you would just click tab, highlight the piece, P, separate selection, and then you could just keep drawing like that. Well, keep drawing like that once you go to draw mode. So yeah, it's kind of been the workflow, and then I could just paint pieces separately too. So like the paint is less blurred together if you don't want it to be. And then you don't have to worry about the geometry, how it disperses the color, because you're just worrying about like separating pieces and then coloring the whole piece that color, if that makes sense. I'm sorry if it's not making sense, by the way. I'm kind of just This is kind of how I think about it live time in my head, so I hope it makes sense to you guys. Let's just erase that, and then I got a bunch of blank strokes that I could mess around with. I always like to keep a blank stroke in my scene though, like the stroke one. That's why I separate it, so I can keep these settings and I don't have to keep resetting up like a new stroke layer with like all the new settings and stuff, because yeah, inconvenient. Heck yeah, dude. Awesome. I'm glad it's you know, sometimes I don't know exactly how well I'm explaining something. Kind of just sometimes I have a feeling I'm like reverse engineering things, so I don't know how well describing that's gonna go. I'm glad it's tracking though. Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, that's basically how I use this tool. It's a lot of fun. Frame by frame. Here's basically, yeah, that's right. People like to animate with this. Let's go here. Let's go to my, pull up the dope sheet or the timeline. And essentially you could see right here actually, every time you start like a new stroke and you start drawing, it immediately adds like the first keyframe. So you can go like, if we go one keyframe before, everything disappears. Bah. Yeah, there we go. So essentially, that's what it does. You start drawing, and it will set the first keyframe. So let's just like, with this stroke right here, I want to delete the keyframe because there's nothing here on the stroke. So just for example, I could show you. When you start drawing, I believe it just sets the keyframe automatically, but let's see here. Oh. No grease pencil frame to draw on. Okay, so I think it is determined by that keyframe already being set. So I think when you set it up, it automatically sets up that keyframe with it. Let's see if that was the difference. Yes, it was. Okay, so when you start a new Claygun stroke, it's just going to be an automatic set keyframe. And then let's say you go to the next one and you want to draw again. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. So if you just draw again like that, I believe you'd have to like set the keyframe manually, and it could just like, you know, it would add another dot or whatever. But let's see. What you do is you just set the timeline to like live. Yeah, there we go. You set it to live right there. And then you go to the next frame. Go. And it deletes the last frame. And one thing I haven't figured out yet is how to see like that opaque layer in the background to reference your last frame. But I've seen Joey or Robospunk on Instagram do it himself. So like there's definitely a way to reference the frame before and the frame after. I just have not figured it out yet. But yeah, and then you go to the next frame, and then you just draw another. Yeah. It's pretty easy. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so that's essentially, and oh, here's another thing too. One thing I did with like, let me show you guys this animation. Let's see. No kiln, no kiln. There we go. This one is an interesting one because I kind of realized I was trying to figure out, like, you know, like rigging a character kind of thing. It's like, since it's grease pencil. Yeah, onion skinning. Exactly. Exactly. I couldn't think of the... Yo, wait. Where's the scene at, actually? Wait, my bad, guys. I think my scene's kind of glitching out here because I have no idea what... Oh, okay. Whew. Okay. We're good. We're good. Yeah, onion skinning. I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit more. Hopefully I can just... I even think I saw that setting here somewhere. But I realized with this, you can literally... Let's see, and I'm a little new to the process here. Wait, Ah, there we go. That's because that's the camera animation. Okay, let's go to this view here. Let's go to Eevee just so I could... Oh yeah, that's not going to be a good example. Never mind. Shit. Well, I'll just show you here. Like, you could see, like, I obviously didn't, like, draw frame by frame here. What I did is I just drew the whole character out, and then I literally just started, in edit mode, I started, like, grabbing. Let's see. Because I was thinking, I was like, okay, I'm going to separate the arms, and then I can animate the arms, and I'm going to separate the head, or whatever. And this is actually a piece where I didn't do much separating of pieces. I did with some of the, like, you know what I mean, the earbuds and the eye and the pupil, stuff like that. But, like, with the body, the pants and the shirt are the same mesh and stuff like that. I kind of tried to keep it more unionized. And, so I didn't want to draw this all frame by frame because obviously, like, it took me, like, 30 minutes to make the guy, somewhere around there, so I really didn't want to, like, frame by frame that. So I did just start, like, going into edit mode, and I realized you could just, like, you know, turn on the live setting. I'm not going to do it on this animation just for the simple fact that I don't want to mess it up, but I would go into animation, and I can't see the points, like, and that's probably just, that's my bad. You could probably figure out a way to see the points through the mesh here, but, you know, I'd just, like, grab a section, then grab it, and then I'd move it, and then keyframe it manually, and then move to the next frame. And so, yeah, like, how I got the, like, the hands to do the little wobble in the beginning, like the bump, that's just all just shifting, and it's essentially like claymation, except it bridges the gaps of motion. Wait, does it? No, it doesn't. It is like claymation. Basically, exactly. You're just moving it. You're moving the strokes, like, just, like, bending them around, which is what I wanted, because I wanted that real bendy kind of looking, cartoony kind of feel. That real squash and pull. But yeah. So that's how, like, that frame by frame animation kind of works. Hopefully that was somewhat understandable, since I didn't really have a physical example to show you. But too much of a physical example. Yeah. It's really cool though, dude. I really like how flexible this tool is. It's like you could get a lot of different you could achieve a lot of different things with it. You could also, like, you could really stretch it too. So if you want to go crazy, just buck nutty on the animation, you can do that. You could also, can you? Pretty sure you could size up. Yeah, that's a little more experimental. You might have to keyframe, like, the radius on the stroke to make the hands bigger or whatever, but you absolutely could. It's pretty cool. Thank you, man. This was a really fun one. I, like, started it one night, and then the next day a friend hit me up, and he had, like, a little VJ set, like a visual, like, for DJs, but it's like visualizer, and he had a little set he was putting together, and he freaking, like, threw a bunch of great artists into the pool, and it was really cool. But I had to grind out a couple of animations, and this is one of the ones I, like, kind of hopped on, tried to get out as quick as possible. Yeah, Matt Siegel, absolute legend. Siege Mattel, or Siege Mattel is his name on Instagram. Yeah, that was a ton of fun. Okay, so let's get back to this airplane here. Let me first make sure there's not like something more I could show you guys about the tool. I might as well show you this real quick too. He has like some other features that come with the Claygun tool as well, like the mesh wiggle feature, which this was just a little logo I made in literally like 5 minutes for the flamingo piece. I just like drew it out with the brush set to the tip radius set a little lower, so it had a little skinny to fat. And then let's see. And press play, and it's just yeah, a little mesh wiggle. You get that little extra claymation feels. So for the frames that are a little empty, like if you, yeah, for any frame that's feeling like a little empty or whatever, it just kind of gives it that offset. Also kind of makes it feel more genuinely stop motion as well. And then you could even like keyframe the like clay displacement from the texture and make it more like that. So yeah, that's how I've been using it so far, mainly. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a ton of fun. Boom. Airplane. What's the material I'm using on that? Oh, here. I will show you. Actually, that's another thing. Let's go back over that material. This material right here, I have some compositing on. Let's get that off. This is what it looks like with the compositing nodes that I have. Literally just unsharp. That's a great unsharp mask. It's right there in your compositor. That's a great little, kind of gives it a comic-y kind of hard line, and you could threshold it. But for this sake, we will turn it off. You can see there's like those little bumps and stuff. This is the automatic texture. Yeah, exactly. It's the default texture for the Claygun tool, but I just ramped down the roughness so it looks real slimy, real pink slimy. Where are we? Let's go. Claygun vertex color. Let's pull this up because this is kind of a thing I was confused about. I was like, where's the clay texture in this? And I realized it is the Claygun vertex color texture. So, by the way, if you want to get your vertex colors to show through on your mesh, it's Claygun vertex color. That's the texture to set it to. And you would set the texture right here, material. So what I do to select my materials is I have an empty cube that has all the materials that I want in the scene, so I could edit them live time or whatever. I go into the shader editor, because obviously if you click on a geometry node affected thing, it's not going to show you any textures, even though a material is set right here. So I just have a cube, and it has that texture on it, so I could just open it up right here. And so with the bumpiness of the texture, it's this right here. It's already preset into the texture, but the thing is that you'll notice the distance is set to like 0.01, first of all. And you'll notice that the noise texture is set to 1.5. And so, obviously, first you just want to ramp up the bump because you can't see it at all on there. So, that's the first thing. You ramp up that bump. And then from there, looks pretty crazy looking, so you want to like way ramp that down, like to, and I ramp it down all the way to like 0.03, 0.05. We'll go 0.035 for argument's sake, or 0.045. That's a little, right? Something like that. But and like I said, since I scale my scene up so much too, I think that is in part why I have to scale down the texture so much in order to get it to like map out properly on it. But it's a little sacrifice for a lot of detail. Yeah, dude, like that was a very frustrating thing for me early on into using this, especially since I'm not used to using geometry nodes. So like setting a material through the modifier section was not really the most ideal for my like my workflow. So just having that cube there with the textures really did help a lot. Yeah, and I'm gonna keep this stream up. Actually, you know what? I might keep this stream up and label it like kind of like a deep dive into the draw tool and actually do a further deep dive later on. But I think this is like covering a lot of the points, like even points that I didn't even think to cover. To be honest, I'm glad you guys have been asking questions about it because I probably would have skipped over like 80% of this. Cool, that's great. So, are there any more like specific questions about the draw tool? Because like I want to address anything you guys might have questions about that I might be able to address. I'm pretty new to it still, and there are certain things I've definitely avoided. So, you know, feel free to ask in both regards because like I have plenty to learn myself on this thing. So, bounce some ideas back and forth. Let's see. Airplane. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think that might be most of my knowledge on this tool that I could think of. Um, yeah, let's get into just sculpting some stuff. I gotta finish these like little metal bars that come down to the wheels, and I was kind of studying. I was kind of studying some pictures of like the undercarriage of freaking airplanes, and I'm realizing that they double up their wheels, like they're doubled up on the back here and on the side, I believe. I don't know if I want to stick true to that or if I want to just go for my like stylistic. I kind of like the fact that they look like skateboard wheels a little bit. Mess around. Awesome, dude. Yeah, I'll make sure to label it. I'll make sure to label it properly so you guys can reference this one specifically, and I'll even set like a unique thumbnail for it, so you know everything is retraceable. Hey, thanks so much for joining, man. I really appreciate it. You helped me highlight a lot of questions that I probably wouldn't have addressed otherwise. Have a good day, man. Appreciate you sliding through, dude. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too, especially since it's kind of like that clay, like simplistic stylism. And I do like to kind of play on the simplistic style and kind of like freak it out a bit, like make it extra detailed. But yeah, I'm not sure if like realism on the airplane wheels is where I want to start going crazy. And for like color reference, I'll just show you guys this is in cycles, so obviously it's gonna render a little bit more noisy, like and slower because I'm on OBS. But yeah, I really like this skateboard. I didn't even try and make them look like skateboard wheels, but honestly, I was making this in textureless mode and like just like viewport mode, not textureless. But I forgot I had color on. I forgot I had color on, so it like made orange wheels instead of black wheels or whatever. And I was like, oh, kind of like that. Yeah. So let's see here. So one thing I do want to get though is that for the wheels they have like little hatches, and I do want to have these like little like hatches coming down the sides here to like kind of let the metal bar like sink into the wheel or whatever. And then obviously like this little connective thing right here, need to add little connectors. So basically it's just finishing touches on this guy today. My girl said it reminded her of Thomas the Tank Engine, and it's just taken everything in me not to throw a face on this thing ever since. So I'm kind of fighting the urge to do that. But in the meantime, we'll just add the rest of the plane details. Yeah, I appreciate you guys showing up, dude. This is awesome. Like, really, I think just having the people on stream live time helped kind of get a few huge talking points out about this tool that I think would not have been addressed otherwise. So I'm glad this was a live stream effort. Sorry guys, and also I just gotta say, like, this is half of my process, is just rotating an object, looking at it over and over, waiting on the world to change. Let's see, yeah. Oh, and also, like, I'm sure some of you already know this, but, like, I didn't. So, um, you know, specifically with, like, grease pencil and stuff like that, it's usually set to this by default, I believe, just material mode. But if you set it to color attribute, this is where you actually, like, draw, and it is the color, like, you're painting at the same time that you're drawing the shape. So it comes out gray, you know what I mean? Or it comes out orange. And you got the color palette here, but I like to save it, like, and it's per project, so like you open a new project and these ones you save here at the bottom are not going to be in the new project. But alas, you'll have it for this project. So if I want to, like, just like save like something slightly above like a matte black, kind of like, yeah, like that, then I could just add right there, boom, got it in the list, never lose it. I hate having to use the color picker, like go to color attribute mode over here, and freaking I hate doing all that. So yeah, boom, 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 boom. So that being said, let's go gray because we're trying to get metal here. Trying to get metal, brother. Okay, yeah, that's bad. Also beware of like the surface mode that you work on, like projecting onto what surface, because like when you're drawing, obviously it's like the stroke is just setting to whatever nearest surface it is. So whether it be like the first point, again, it could just go off. Okay. Yeah, you could do it like that, so you could get like horns or like tendrils or whatever, like, you know, ooh, bang, like a tentacle or whatever. And then you can do all points, and it just like meets, you know, it doesn't matter how far you go down, it's going to meet the nearest surface. And it, like, you could see it almost like adapting live time, like it shifts a couple times depending on what other surface it connects to. So like kind of go over here and you'll see it like almost like shift every once in a while. I don't know, but yeah, it's really cool. You can get like very specific, like if you want like a border around the wing or something like that. Very sloppily done on my end right here, but just for an example, you know what I mean. Yeah, you got to be careful though, because especially when you're in like mirror access point, or just like even like looking like this way, you could be doing that, and then you could easily stretch it out to like another object. So like if I'm having trouble like discerning between the objects, I'll like click on one. Like, let's say, yeah. Let's say I just want to sculpt on this and I don't want it to attach to the other things. I'll just do that. Command, click stroke, like the one I'm going to draw with. Go to draw mode. And just go to surface, project onto selected. And then it will only project onto the object you select, regardless of if you go to another one. You know what I mean? It's not going to attach to like this thing, even though I definitely brought it over there. So yeah, that's the way to kind of isolate stuff. So that being said, I want to make these like metal bars that go towards the wheels. So pull out my annotations and let's doodle it up. Okay. Pretty sure, do they come out like at an angle? I feel like they do. I feel like they do. Let's see, airplane wheels. Yeah, my phone ain't doing shit. Okay. It's okay. We're just gonna wing it. So, I'm guessing it's like, you know, a little joint thing, and then it comes down to a smaller joint. Then, man, it probably is right here, probably straight down, right? Probably. That's okay, let's just leave the other one. We know which one we want to reference. Dang, I don't know. Alright, well, then we want to get this thing over it like that. It's a little overarching. Shield for the wheel. Yeah. And then with these ones, I'm a little more confused about here. Let's start with the front wheel then. Let's just start with the front. You can see I use the annotations though to just kind of like guide where my actual grease pencil strokes are gonna go. Okay. And for the sake of not messing up what we got going here, I'm just gonna go set it to origin, because at that point it will just draw based on the origin point and nothing else. It won't even connect to a surface or anything like that. I'm gonna take the smoothing way down. Sometimes smoothing can take away from like the actual line, the actual shape you want in your line. So yeah, keep that in mind. When you're smoothing things out, you get obviously less details, so it's like it takes more like strokes to kind of like layering of strokes to kind of get what you want out of it, or like just kind of thinking about it a little bit more. So but for this, I'm just gonna size down the radius of my brush a lot, and then be able to have like a smooth stroke. Now see, that's where it gets a little hairy. So we're gonna move down the voxel size a bit. Yeah, there we go. Get back to a smooth look. Maybe. I'm not sure. This is also another thing I like to do if I want to like make a table or like a pot, like on that one caterpillar piece I did. If you guys saw my caterpillar piece on my Instagram or watched the stream, one thing I do for like certain, like if I'm trying to make like the pot I made where the plant's coming out of, I will go back to edit mode here. Well, let's just take off annotations so you can see what I'm doing, but still see what I'm doing. Okay. Okay, hit tab, edit mode, highlight, and instead of separate, P separate or whatever, you just shift E and GY, grab on the Y axis, and you just, and mind you, I have it mirrored right now on the Y axis, so I duplicated the stroke essentially, and then press GY so it grabs it on the Y axis, and I just pulled it, thickened it out. I could do it again, GY. Let's not do that though. We don't want, yeah. We want it to be honest with us. We don't want proportional editing. Yeah. So, I mean, it looks a little wonky, but at the same time, it is like a clay. I don't know. I like it. I like it. I might mess with the shape a little bit, but yeah. Just get it kind of as thick as I want it to be. I'm trying to think if I want it thicker or thinner than the wheel. I was kind of thinking thinner initially, or I mean thicker initially, but maybe thinner looks better. I don't know. Let's make it super thick and see what happens from there. What do we think of that? Yeah, whatever we're gonna figure out, we're gonna figure out the shape of this first. Let's go edit. And this is another thing, you could like click on just a single point. And I don't know how to see the points once it's turned to geometry, but just trust and believe there's a point there. You click on it. By the way, you want to make sure your select mode is on point and not stroke for this. But you would just select a specific point, and then you'd proportional edit. Then you just grab the G key. You size up your proportional editing. Then you could just, move your stroke. And back to the point of, if you have this like for animating and stuff, for instance, that's not what we're doing here, but for animating, if you'd want to just like animate live time and you don't want to like rig up your character or whatever with sorry, glitched out. You don't want to rig up your character with bones. You could literally just click point by point, grab, and then go to the next frame. Point by point, grab, go to the next frame. You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool. Now let's shape this to the wheel. And the wheel is a little bit of a wonky shape, so we're not going to get it like perfectly round here. I'm realizing this live time too, so maybe I should just like give it a little bit of space, a little room to breathe. Like, let's highlight the entire thing and move it up a little. Yeah, that actually, I think that's a lot better. Just need a little space maybe. And then from there we can grab Shift D, GY. I think maybe just one is good. Yeah, that looks great. Ish. Great. Okay, let's see. No, I see the okay. We're not gonna make this a practical design here. Sorry, I'm battling in my head. I'm battling demons here. Trying to decide whether I want stylism or a practical design. And we are going stylistic. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. You're being pulled to the creative trenches with me right now. And Let's just duplicate it. Let's be lazy about it. Because no one said we didn't have to do that. Alright, so that being said, I want to separate this stroke because we want the initial stroke still. Sorry, we're missing steps. So we go to stroke 15, and then we go Shift D, G, X. Shift D just duplicates it, GX grabs it on the X axis. And then let's see. And now that we've got it on it's mirrored on the Y, we could go into edit mode, tab, grab the entire thing, G, Y, boom. Then we just gotta size down from there and turn off perspective mode because I'm seeing clipping. Size this down, push it up, push it on the X. Alright, yeah, we need to. There we go. That's probably good enough. At least for now. We got it highlighted a little bit. So let's just make the flaps now. Yeah. Sorry guys, this is a little bit more of a practical design than I'm used to, so I'm doing a little bit less, doing a little bit less sculpting just based on instinct and doing a little bit more locking in, focusing on what the design is. You know what? These wheels, that wheel might need to be further away from the body. Another reason why I think like separating these parts is kind of like, it's kind of a good idea. Just so you can kind of individually grab stuff later. So yeah, let's do that. P, separating the front and the back wheels, since we need to move these things independently. And I believe I just saw that these joints are also connected, so I just grab the front ones and separate them, P, separate by selection, go back, and now we got separated front and back, so now I can just grab these two here, and this one, and then just drag it down, and let's see, let's go to about like, say like here or something. Honestly, maybe that wheel should even be a bit tinier, but we'll see. We'll figure that out afterwards. We go down here, make sure we're on the same. Yeah, I think that's better. Take the extras off. Boom. There he goes. Flying. No, don't save that. Save that. Okay. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna propose a question here. So this design is a particularly boring one at this point. I kind of wish I would have live streamed this one. The first part of making it would have made this second part more interesting. But what we could do is we could just start sculpting an entirely different piece and just like get a character going or something if we'd rather do that instead of this one. But if we're cool with this guy too, then I could just keep going on here. You know what? I'm sorry, I'm going back and forth in my head a lot. I'm just gonna finish this up. Stick to the plan. It's as raw and indecisive as it gets. What is going on? My drawing pad wigging out a little bit. Oh, it's happening. Why is there just like a permanent X on my... Okay. I don't know why there's just like this permanent X on my... I don't like that. Like, it doesn't seem like anything different is happening, but there is a... Let's see. Are we all good? Like, is everything going? Yeah, that's fine. Okay. It's kind of weird that there's just like an X under my cursor there, but I ain't tripping if it's not tripping. Go stroke. Boom. Extras. Nah. Okay. Let's bring these wheels back. Hmm. All points projecting selected. I think on airplanes, typically the back wheels duplicate, they double up like linear, like long way. So actually that placement would kind of make sense. The bar came down here. There's 2 wheels. It kind of, yeah, that makes sense. Set origin to geometry without it flipping its shit. The Claygun tool does it again. Can set its origin point, so I could just rotate it like that, like wherever, so it doesn't look so the same as the back wheel, but I can still duplicate it. In fact, no. Just offset it just the tiniest bit or whatever. A little more detail so it feels like squashed clay a little bit more, or a little voxel size. I don't know, maybe less smooth, more voxel size, a little more smooth. Cue Tim the Toolman Taylor noise. Fucking, why is it not duplicated on the other side? Oh, I knew setting the origin point was gonna screw me over. Okay, that's where we're at. Select. You can't reset the origin point without, like, unmirroring an object, so, you know, keep in mind that your mirror is based on your origin point, so. Oh well, I kind of like it looking uniform more anyways, so we'll just do that. Then and honestly, right now I'm like, I mean, I kind of don't want to be dropping primitives into the scene. Like, I kind of want to fully use the Claygun tool, but I'm gonna drop primitives in so I could like trace them essentially, or not trace them, but color the strokes over them so I can get the primitive shape I want. Cylinder. Depth, let's go like for 1000. Let's go start there. It's very large. 100. Not near as large. Do that. Radius 6. Alright. Actually, I need to make this a tiny bit thinner than I want it to be because that thickness of the stroke is definitely going to make up for it. So let's go for the depth should be about like 150. No, should be like honestly like 80. Yeah. Let's go 100 to be safe. Sorry. You'll see what I'm doing here in a second if you don't already know. Like, I'm just essentially just gonna set these in place as primitives. And then lay my strokes over the cylinder. Let's line this up a bit. Okay, yeah, I need that radius to be even thinner. Wow. Okay. Transform. Shrink fatten. There we go. You can see it's a little bit off center. Here, let's see if. Alright, so we're gonna do this, duplicate, bring it over here, rotate, 5. Alright. Starting to rethink the proportions of this design a little bit. Like I said, I'm going to show you guys what I do with these. I'm not going to just leave it this normal cylinder. What I'm planning on doing is using the draw tool to color over these. Although, honestly, I could probably get the similar effect by just like remeshing. So I actually don't have to like draw this because this is going to be a pain in the ass to color around those little tiny primitives. So let's see if I could just, let's see, mesh, transform, shrink fatten. Okay. Remesh. I don't know if remeshing's gonna do it. It's too thin. Alright, yep, I guess we're going the hard way. Man, it's really annoying me. New plan. I figured it out. Or stupid. That's what it's all about. Doing the wrong thing for 30 minutes. We're just going to draw an origin on the origin point. This is exactly why changing between where your drawing point is, your point of origin or whatever, your stroke placement, surface, 3D cursor, origin, stroke. I'm going to go to origin because origin's set straight to the center of the scene. So I could literally do it, like I could do anything and it'll be perfectly centered. I completely forget about that. Like, that'll suffice at least to get the idea. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, when you kind of want to take the 2D approach and just kind of like map out like the shape of your design, like you saw how I was just messing around with those primitives for a long time, just like trying to get them to like the right angle and all that stuff so I could like set up this scene so I could just basically do what I'm doing right now, coloring, but around the primitive shape so I could like give it a roundness to it instead of it looking 2D. What you could do is just draw on the origin point. Like, we're at a side profile, so you draw on the origin point. And it's obviously flat, right? It doesn't look too 3D, but you could, I mean, you could start drawing on, on the surface, all points, and then you could either start extruding the shape from there, like with individual strokes that stack up on top of each other to kind of create the 3D effect. Or you can do this. You could just go to sculpt mode, thickness, turn the strength up so you get the idea of what we're talking about here. You can see a slight inflation, and now obviously if you just like ramp it up to like 3 or something like that, you could obviously just keep billowing it up. And so yeah, you could like achieve 3D shape just by going on the origin point, drawing like a 2D shape, and then just messing around in the 3D space and sculpting on top of it. Well, this became less of a sculpt stream and more of a breakdown tutorial on the draw tool, but I'm kind of glad that ended up happening because I've been meaning to do that for a while. And I don't know, I feel like this is definitely better because it's like you guys are kind of, you actually understand what I'm doing step by step as opposed to just kind of like watching and guessing what the hotkeys are that I'm pressing and what my mindset is behind it. Are we okay? We're back to we're back to surface mode, so I'm drawing on the outer edge of everything here. So let's go back to origin. And let's see, we have this little, I don't know, like I kind of want it to feel like thicker, you know. I want it to come down. And there's probably going to be some like, probably going to have some like spring mechanism wrapping around that or something. Spring mechanism, just a spring. Yeah. Like, you expect it when you like take it out of a side view. You're like, oh god, where's that going to be sitting? But it's just like, you know, wherever your origin point is, it's perfect. It's centered, especially with vehicles and stuff like that. You could sketch out the concept for a vehicle like that in this, and you know, like how a lot of VR sculptors do as well. Like, usually make a lot like fatter extrusions as opposed to like skinny little lines. But I just like to get the like little, I don't know, the kind of wonky little details I like for my stuff kind of requires me to overload my GPU at all times. But let's see. I'm really guessing when it comes to how like an airplane's like wheel system is set up right now. Like this like four-way, like, you know what? So we're gonna do like these little bars that the wheels will be attached to are gonna be about like, okay. Did I even draw anything? Yep. Yes, it did. All right. Hmm. I think we're in the right direction here. Let me see. I gotta reference these wheels for a second, man. I tried for as long as I could. Guessing got me about that far. The back ones here. Okay. Well, I will say we didn't make them the most accurate, but I also will say that I don't care too much. All right, wait a minute. Okay. Huh. Dude, I'm like max confused about how to like achieve this right now. Let's see. There's like a framework that ties down into like a. All right. Alright, so there's like a framework that ties down into like a middle bar here, so it's more like a bar in the middle. Okay. That has like little like comes through here both sides. Let's shifty. Let's just multiply this a few times just to get the shape right. Okay. All right. Let's do that. I don't know. Okay. I know what I'm gonna do now. Okay. Nope. Lord have mercy. Sorry, stylus in the mouth. Okay. Let's do this. Whoop. Separate. Okay. Separate that. We'll take that. Use that. Separate. Then let's go to stroke 1. Boom. And then we'll just I'm so good. Sorry, you guys are witnessing this in live time. It's times like this where I wish this could be time lapsed in real time. Oh heck yeah! Looks like I made this shit out of Lincoln logs. Oh, that's funny. Honestly, if we're flying, aren't those wheels supposed to be up, actually? Isn't that a thing? If you're flying, the wheels might be up, actually, so we might just get rid of that thing entirely and just bring these bad boys up. Yeah, let's do this. Let's just see what this does. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Click on it. Oh, object node. Click. Take that out. Let's bring this. Did I not select it? Okay. No, that's cool. That's fine. I see there's a couple dots over there. Gotta delete those. Let's do this. Oops. Boom. What What are these dots all over the place here? Oh, origin points. Probably. Oh, that's not it. Drama, origin. Oh no. Homie wants in. My dog's sniffing at the corner of the door. Here's little sniffs. Let's see. I don't think I'm gonna get this design perfect by the end of the stream, but I am going to whittle it down a tiny bit more. I'm gonna get all these connective parts at least on, and then I'm going to yeah, get the connective parts on the wings here, and maybe add some trim, some border for the wings, spice it up a little bit. It kind of looks like Lincoln logs hanging off the back here, like how the wheels are set up, because obviously it just, yeah, it looks like a very primitive, like, yeah. But I kind of like it. I don't know. I'm thinking I should pull them inward a little bit, because obviously, like, the airplane wheels are not that wide out, I don't believe. So, yeah, that's my thought process so far. Oh, man. Yeah, maybe I could even... You can see that the sculpting actually does work on grease pencil. It takes a little bit of work in it, and also maxing out the strength beyond belief, but it does work. I don't know if that's just how like sculpting on grease pencil is in general, or if that's the result of converting it to geometry. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that's just how the sculpting on strokes works in Blender. Okay. You know what? And I think I'm gonna bunch it up at the bottom there too. Just you know what? Let's go draw. Surface. Make it look kind of squashed down on there, like bubble gum. By bubble gum. There we go. And actually, it'd be kind of funny if we did like a. Let's see. Sure. Okay. Alright. Gum connectors. That gummy connective. It's gummy connect right there. Gummy connect right there. Gummy. Okay. Strung together by gum. And actually, yeah, let's get. This is another thing I kind of do. Like after a while, it's like if it's a similar kind of part and it's gonna have like the same color to it, I will just like bunch it into the same like pieces. Like so, this is all the same object technically. So I can, you know, bunch it up right here, make it a little bit more gummy. Build up, boom. And then actually we could even like hmm. Hey, you have a good one too, AJ. I appreciate you coming through, man. Really appreciate it. Have a good day, man, and I will be posting this on Instagram soon. I'll send you the link, dude. Talk to you soon. Bang, bang. Okay. I don't know how much I'm liking the ooze coming out right here. Might need to add a little more shape to this section. Honestly, just yeah, even doing this. There we go. There we go. I don't think I want the drip, the extra drip coming off of it. I think I just want it to be. There we go. There we go. That's good. It's another thing, you know, there was this like auto snow add-on like back in the day on Blender, like the Blender 3 point something era, and it stopped, or maybe even 2 point something. It stopped working around the 2-3 point era, and like you couldn't just like automatically add snow to a scene anymore. You actually had to do it yourself, which is stupid. But this kind of emulates that effect exactly, but better. Like how I kind of just like drew that gunk, and then just used the erase brush, and then just was tapping. It was literally just going like boop, boop. Creates like little gunky dots. I like it. You can turn it into snow, slime, bubblegum, whatever. Looks nice. Let's see. Let's go there. Draw mode. Surface. Project only selected. Hmm. So I'm gonna separate that. Yeah, it doesn't need to be a part of the gum. It's probably gonna be like a rubber piece, like a little facet kind of thing. Actually, that being said, honestly, I might be focusing a little bit too much on this like side that's not gonna be at all visible at this point. Like I really am. I think hindsight's 2020. And also with this piece right here as well on the wing, where it's just gonna be like drawn right. Like I could do that in a second right now. If I just stop fixating on this weird little stuff, like get the overarching design done. Stroke. I feel like I'm having a stroke. Anything. Anything. Okay, there we go. And that will all be pink. Let's go into color mode. I want to see what we're doing here. Yeah. Draw mode. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't colored your grease pencil like live time, like while you're drawing it out, you could always go to the tint brush right here. Yeah, and then pick your colors here, and you could just paint. Let's see. We want a pink, so let's go like a that kind of pink, like a bubblegum pink. There we go. And then just do that and it won't work. That's cool. What's going on there? Oh. Oh, that's because we're not selected on that. There we go. Now we're selected. Silly me. Boom. Now we got the pink. Got the pink facets, although we need that to be pink as well. This little squishy part. Yeah. Alright. Draw. Tint. Okay, now that looks kind of like gum. Cool. Okay. It'd be kind of funny if there was like kind of like gum like coming out of the back of this. I mean, not that it would be practical in this design because I'm gonna be animating it in a different scene, but that'd be cool if there's like gum coming out of these. Like it's going down and it's like, dang, that would be cool. Dang, that would be cool. All right, seems like I'm gonna be making a second animation with this piece too. Oof. Let me think. Stroke. What? Oh, okay. I'm actually starting to think I want these propeller things stuck on the same way, even though that's not practical. Kind of want the gum to be the thing that's... let's do this. Ooh. Well, I will say that it's not the most practical um, um, attachment method, but honestly, it doesn't look very stable. But the stuff must be freaking solid as a rock because it's just holding on to them propellers. There we go. That's whatever. That works, I guess. Like doing so much work on the underside that nobody cares about. No one will see. And then let's do this. Hell yeah, okay. I did not see the design taking this route, but I'm fucking with it. Okay. Rodney Copperbottom. Haven't asked Heath. Rodney Copperbottom. Right? Not entirely wrong. Mr. Jones. I'm coming, Mr. Jones. Hell yeah. Selection. And we're gonna go. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. I want you in my room. Alright. Drum med. Add. There. Surface. Project only onto selected surface. And take off separate strokes. And go. There. Alright, so. Y'all trust him? I don't know. I don't. Not with my life. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay, so there's a pretty harsh differentiation between like the pink and the wings. Maybe I should make the color of the wings like black with like a orange trim, or like with a pink trim, or something. Hmm. Maybe yellow. No. I definitely need some trim on the wings though to bring back this like white black to, you know what I mean? Need some color in there. Need some separation to kind of give it like a panely kind of look. Like honestly, I don't know. Even this wing right here is like looking a little messy. I feel like let's just try all white real quick, see what it looks like. Because the thing is, it's like maybe we could even. Like, maybe we could make it like to where it like curves into it. But like, I can make it like a new strip of clay. Where that color is. Like I can. Pretty sure this stroke is unoccupied, so we can go to here. Go to like, what if we want orange? Bring this radius like way down. Bring obviously the voxel size not that far down, but down. Oh, no, 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 no. We are selected on something. Alright. Yeah. Not this one. Stroke 1. Alright, y'all. I think I'm gonna have to step away from this idea for a bit. Definitely, I don't know. I got a couple things to think about here with this design. But this stream was good though, because I feel like we really got a lot like established with what the draw tool is, and kind of the way I use it. Even though this wasn't the best piece, maybe not the best example. Yeah, it's a pretty good example, at least, of how to use the tool. So, in stream fashion, we are going to render this out real quick, just so you kind of get a view of it, of what it's at so far. This isn't a finished product or anything, but this is where we dropped the pencil. So you can see I started like the trim. I started the trim and stuff, so it doesn't look that great on the wings. I'm gonna figure it out a little bit. I'm gonna figure out this like little area a bit, tie these colors together a bit better, and yeah. I'm honestly looking at this right now. I'm really fucking happy with it. Like, there's things that need to be fixed on it, and there's things that need to be changed, but it's very fucking silly. I like it. Okay. One last little tip trick thing. Obviously, like most people that use Blender already know this, but Control-Alt-0. Boom, you got your camera angle. Oh, you got a perspective camera angle. Actually, that's really cool. It's let's do 720. Oh yeah, and also one thing, guys, with like I said, like when you scale up the scene super big, so you could use the draw tool. Obviously, like that means like your units of measurement are gonna be larger in between. Like you're gonna have to scroll down a lot more. Like you see how like the units on the z-axis, like we're way higher up, but it looks like we're not moving it much because obviously we're scaled up way up in the scene. So let's go focal length. We'll do that. Do we have lights in the scene currently, or okay, we gotta turn on those. Nice. Also, guys, just before I go, like, these are all like pretty like beginner tips and stuff, but like so useful. Like, make yourself a starter file. So let's see, let's go like what is it called? Your yeah, your startup file. So you would just like save startup file, load factory settings, whatever. But you would just open up like a new project and you'd set up your scene however you want, just like every default scene to be, and then you just save it as a startup file. You don't even need to save the project itself. You just save the startup file. All right. So now that we've done that, we got all that out of the way. Let's render. And actually, we could even okay. Oh. Do that. Get rid of that. We could even like make a glass texture real quick, just so I'm not being bugged by it. My OCD isn't being bugged by it. There. Roughness down almost all the way. Diffuse, of course, all the way up. Transmission up. Clear coat. Let's do it. And yeah, we might even gray out those a little bit, but let's start out by changing the material to that material. I don't know, maybe that's a little more distracting of a material, but yeah, I, I don't know. I like it. Now we get the windows. Let's get this default cube out of here, though. Yeah. Nice. We did it. See, Shift D on that camera, because I want to make a add marker. Then we're going to select this camera. We're going to bind. Oh, escape. We're going to bind that camera. Come on. Now, bind that camera. Then we're going to add a marker here. God, what did I do? This project file must be huge now. Either that or OBS is. My GPU is starting to fry out a little bit. Let's go. Add a marker. Let's bind camera number 2 to it. Nope. Command B. Then Control Op 0 to get that angle. Go back. Go to the other angle. Yeah. It's crazy, dude. What is going on with that? How big is this file now? I bet it's huge. Oh, it's 35 still? Okay. We're just, yeah, it definitely is like OBS and Blender combined then. Okay. That happens every once in a while too, guys. Don't worry. It's a glitch. Okay. Gonna render and we're done. Turn on all of our... We don't do it now. We don't need it. Hopefully there's nothing visible in the scene that we don't want, but I just get it basic. It also renders pretty fast usually, since we are on OBS. It's been going for a while. Pretty heavy file, I guess, considering the low voxel rate or whatever, but it should render pretty quick. Okay, yeah, see 80 samples right there, and that's with OBS running, so they'd be significantly faster without that. I think 200 samples to do, guys. More than enough. Let's get the alpha over going. Shift alpha over. Foreground. Shift A, denoise. We don't have all the like render attributes and stuff like that right now, so we're just gonna stick to that. And I got dark purple. Something like that. Or shit, maybe just like a blue, just for fucking. Kind of a fun effect, I don't know if. Let's see. Boom, boom. Let's do that. Scale down. There we go. It could be better, but we're working on it. So, need to make that front wheel, I think, a lot smaller. What's going on in the back? I think it works. Yeah. So yeah, there's a little sky compositor effect for you right there, just like super quick with a noise node. It's kind of an interesting little thing, sensor noise. Also, another compositor that I like to use is lens distortion. I think this is something we all know and love already, but in case you don't, boom, bang, bang. Know what I mean? Dispersion. Give yourself a little bit of chromatic aberration. Stretches it forward a little bit more. Boom. Give yourself a little jitter, a little noise. You can fit, so when you do that, it doesn't show the alpha, it just fits to the face. Or it fits to the center or whatever. You don't get any alpha channel on the exterior. So, yeah. There we go. That's it. I think that's where we're dropping the pencil. Said that an hour ago. We're really doing it now. Mr. Jones! Have an ass mouth. Well, to anyone who is still here, I appreciate you guys greatly sticking around. Yeah, this was a fun one, and I'm really glad we got to go over the tool in depth. Yeah, this will be really good to reference back on. So I will mark it on my channel. Love you guys very much. Thank you for showing up to the stream. This was a good one. And I will see you guys next time. Boa.